Well, hey, everybody, welcome to the Seeing Ability podcast, where we're having a conversation about the world of families raising kids with some type of difference. And that means we're going to be talking to a lot of different people. Sometimes it's going to be adults who grew up as that kid who was different. Sometimes it's going to be families who have or who are raising children, and a lot of people that support this community. A lot of times, my guests might be from healthcare, they might be from education, or they might be from nonprofits. First of all, I know you're really busy, so thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us today. I think you're going to love meeting my guests, Michelle and Casey. This is one of my nonprofit spotlight episodes. Those of you who know me know I spent 23 years in the nonprofit sector and have my own small foundation now, and I'm kind of a glutton for nonprofits. We've got folks from the Empower Me Center. Michelle, who's the executive director, welcome, and tell us a little bit. Tell us about your other partner in crime you brought with you today.
Well, this is Casey Fisher, aka Hudson's mom, which we know and love her as. And she's also our board chair, and she's been with us for many years. And we're so blessed to have her leadership.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to get back to Empower Me, but first we're going to do the Fast Four, which is a chance to just get to know you guys outside of the world of disability advocacy education. Our friends at Reliable Tech Help bring us the Fast Four, so reach out to them at 502-797-7399. Question number one, we'll start with Hudson's mom. What's your favorite food?
Martin's Barbecue.
Oh, I love it. There you go. No plug for Martin's right there. I like it. Michelle, how about you?
I'm a strawberry girl. Strawberry salad, strawberry chocolate covered strawberries, just anything with strawberries in it.
Okay, I like it. We'll stay with you, Michelle. If we looked at your playlist, what kind of music is on it?
Christian music.
Fantastic. Casey?
The same. All my kids are listening to is Forrest Frank. So it's on
Okay, I
repeat.
love it. Casey, what are you enjoying right now? It could be a movie you've seen, a show you watch, or a book you're reading.
Actually, I don't get to do any of those things because my daughter's playing so much softball, but I love every second of it. I'm really enjoying this season with her. So I would say watching Little League softball.
There you go, watching Little League softball. And then, Michelle, what about you?
I'm kind of like Casey. I don't have much time for anything else other than work. But however, my daughter is home from college, so I'm just enjoying spending time with her.
I love that. And then, Michelle, we'll stay with you. What is a place around the world you'd love to go to and you haven't had a chance to do it yet?
Think I would like to take an Alaska cruise. I want it planned for me so I don't have to worry about it and be stressed out about it, but I would love to see all the beautiful sights up there.
Okay, and make sure there's strawberries on the boat.
That's right.
I like that.
There's
Okay,
always
Casey, how
strawberries
about you?
I my bucket list to go to Croatia. So we
Okay.
have heard, I used to work with a person who's from there and I've seen the pictures. And so it's a place my husband and I are convinced we need to go at some point in our lives. So,
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to Dubrovnik once, and
okay.
it's pretty amazing.
That's
All
what I've
right,
heard.
well, tell us a little bit, Michelle. For those who don't know, Empower Me Center as a nonprofit, tell us a little bit about your organizational backstory.
Yes. So Empower Me Center started back in 1999. So this is actually our 28th summer. It started from a basketball league. There were a group of parents who wanted their child who had a disability to have the same opportunity as their other child who did not have one to be able to play basketball. And so they approached a local league and asked for some help. And this basketball league was created. And from there, it turned into a summer day camp and then year-round events because there were very limited opportunities for our families and our participants, and turned into an adult program. And it has just kind of continued to evolve into year-round programming that we serve individuals ages 5 and up with any type of disability. So youngest is 5, oldest is 68 that participates with us.
And sometimes I always forget because people are listening from all over. Where are you located and what area do you serve?
Yes, so we are actually located in Lebanon, Tennessee. However, we serve individuals from 28 different counties. So that's a third of our state. And we also have individuals that come down from Kentucky as well as come up from Alabama to participate in some of our various programs.
Wow, fantastic. So 28 summers, that's pretty impressive. And started like a lot of things by probably a group of parents that that wanted something for their kids.
Absolutely. That's how it all got started.
And Casey, how did you get involved with the organization and then what led to board involvement and And that's kind of my life story. I go to the Cub Scout meeting, and before it's over, I'm the den leader. So you're the board chair now.
Yeah,
Tell
that
us your
sounds about right.
tell us your Empower Me backstory.
Yes, so mine started as a parent searching for summer camp. So my son came out of he's 15 now, so we've been participating since he left kindergarten. I needed a camp for him, and it wasn't going to be enough for Hudson to just pivot around to a bunch of different camps all summer. That just wasn't going to work for him. And so honestly just did a Google search, and Empower Me came up, and we were living actually about an hour from camp at the time. And it became such a meaningful part of our family, something Hudson looks forward to every summer. He'll be in camp next week. We actually ended up moving our family to Lebanon so that we could be closer to the services of Empower Me Center. So our family's been a part of it ever since then. Done basketball and camp and all the events. And Hudson has really built a really strong friend group, as have I. It's really become a place for our whole family. And so when I was approached about being a part of the board, it seemed pretty natural to say yes and continue to lend my support, however I could. So it's really how it started. And I don't really see Hudson not participating. I mean, we'll be participating forever. So
Yeah.
we're very, very thankful.
What a fantastic connection. I can see the passion. So let's start where the journey of special needs parenting kind of starts for a lot of families, and that's in the early years with that acceptance phase. That famous Trip to Holland piece that a lot of us read, where you're kind of given this different parenting path than maybe what was in that chapter of what to expect when you're expecting. That's a different experience for lots of different parents. Maybe both of you can answer this. Casey, your own personal experience and like insights that you'd share with other parents from that. And then Michelle, how you guys work to like counsel families through those early years.
Yeah, I mean, as a mother, I think for us it was just a very difficult start. It was our very first baby, and so we already didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into, even as parents. And Hudson's journey was interesting because he started having a lot of little things that were happening. Well, not so little, but things, medical things and developmental things that were happening. And but we really didn't have anything to tie it to. And I think that's probably part of what kind of took me a couple of years to really come to the acceptance of, okay, this is probably something that's lifelong. This isn't something that we're going to grow out of. And then my son actually got a diagnosis of a rare genetic syndrome called Koolen-DeVries syndrome, but it wasn't until he was 6 that we actually said we have something to point all of this to. And for me as a mom, I wish, if I could go back in hindsight, I wish I had just given myself a minute to sort of settle into that diagnosis, maybe even to seek counsel or help around it, because then I just became the mama bear who said, I'm going to dive in and I'm going to, fix anything I can and get my son all these therapies. And it really wasn't until Hudson was probably 13 that I really kind of had my emotional breakdown and allowed myself the grief, of all the things that came along with that diagnosis and all the hard things he's been through in his precious little life. And I think finally had my good cry. But I just, I think as parents, you go through this moment of, oh my gosh, and then what do I do? And if you're on a fast track out of that, just every day is sort of a fight for your kid. And so it can be very difficult. And I think every family, as you said, sort of goes through a different journey of acceptance and how to settle into a hard diagnosis.
Yeah, but what powerful advice though to think, while you're jumping into action mode, pausing, giving yourself permission to pause and really just take in what's going on with you. And you also mentioned, I think it's come up before with a lot of parents of like, there's so many services focused on the child. Very few services stop and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, how are you guys doing?
Right.
The mental health part of the journey. I'd love for that to expand. Michelle, you've talked with a lot of families over the years, this chapter of the journey. What are some of your insights, your advice that you've seen?
Yeah. So one of the things that we've loved to be is just the place to come to for connecting people. We're a community. We are a huge community of individuals with all different types of disabilities. Last year alone, out of the 665 individuals we served, they had 89 different disabilities, and it was a combined 2,165 disabilities in total. So I think just the journey of families realizing just because I have this particular disability, every individual is so different. And so the acceptance of being able to sit down with that parent, just because your child may have autism, they're going to look very different than anybody else because we're all uniquely made. And so, in just trying to walk that journey along with them of being able to share with them all of the resources that are in and around our area. And we try to be that support service for them. And then also connect them with other parents. Some of the rare genetic disabilities or disorders that are out there, we have some of those, more than one. And so whenever we get that word, we check with both parents and they're like, yes, please connect me with them. And so that's what we try to do a lot of times too, just so we don't want anybody to feel like they're walking this journey alone. We're there for them. And so are our other parents. Like I said, it's just a huge community of support for any individual and family with special needs.
Yeah, and probably one of the best things, regardless of where you are listening, to make you feel some sense of like, okay, this is not the end of the world necessarily, is to connect to a community who's like, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, they can say,
Right.
they can say, breathe,
Breathe.
it's going to be
Yes.
different, but it's
Yes.
going to be okay. And it's also actually going to be wonderful.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's really powerful. Somewhere along this journey, and I guess I'll start with you, Casey. We're so focused. You've mentioned jumping into action, and we're so focused again on taking care of the kids. Sometimes we forget to take care of us, and we kind of burn the candle at both ends. We burn down like your phone has that really low battery and it doesn't work well. So
Mhm.
tell us about you as a mom, and then you as an organization. What do you do to try to talk about self-care with parents?
Yeah, I think that is so important and it's really overlooked. We're all about our kids and how do we take care of our kids and in many cases they demand a lot of our attention and so it's really hard and I as a mom I'm trying to just say to myself giving myself permission whether it's take a minute to go read a book or take a walk or have coffee with a friend or just something that's about just me kind of refilling my cup and refueling. I'm really grateful because I think as more organizations like Empower Me pop up, where we can create a place for families to get a little bit of rest, is really monumental, probably more so than people realize. Because a lot of
Mhm.
our families we serve, they don't get any breaks or rest from caregiving. And whether you're caring for like a typical kiddo or not, you still need a break every once in a while. And
Right.
so what Empower Me is doing is we have fun nights where the participants can come and they have a great time. They're in a super safe environment with all their buddies. Hudson loves it. And we get to leave as caregivers, and my husband and I can either go on a date or we can take that time and take Hudson's sibling, his sister Taylor, out to do something special for her. So I really can't say enough how important it is for organizations who can to create an environment, even if it's once a quarter, where parents know they have a safe space to take their kids where they can get a little rest. And it's amazing
Yeah.
how one night like that, how far that goes to refilling kind of your battery bar, so to speak.
Yeah, that's a powerful thing to actually build into your programming, almost like forced self-care. Come to these
Yes.
programs and
Yes.
you'll get this respite. Michelle,
Yes.
tell us about what you've seen that do for families, and the feedback you've gotten on programs like that.
Absolutely. I can give you a couple of examples. We had one mom, this has been about 15 years ago. She came to camp and she's like, my child has never been away from me at all. He was about 10 years old, never been away from me ever, like no babysitter, no nothing, always with me. She heard about camp. She brought him to camp. That very first day, she was terrified to leave him. I'm like, we got him. I promise we got him. She was so nervous. She finally got in her car. She finally left. By 2 days later, she's like, see ya, I'm out. He's out, I'm out. And so she signed him up for all 6 weeks. He's been coming all 6 weeks of our camp ever since. So never misses any opportunity for that respite, which is what we try to provide. So we actually have 20 different year-round events that we offer. And
Yeah.
some of them are meant for siblings, some of the parents stay put, but a lot of them are drop-offs. Let your child come spend time with us at our Christmas camp or our spring fling. Let the parents go shopping for Christmas Christmas during that time period, or just get ready for maybe a big Easter dinner or whatever. But we have those different kind of scattered events throughout the year for that exact purpose, is for that respite for the families. And I had another parent this morning, brand new, coming to our summer camp. Mom is in tears because her child had such a struggle, was in such struggle and turmoil that morning. And we had her pull over to the side and we just talked to her, just trying to say it's going to be okay, and we gave her some resources. And we're going to go back and sit down and write a letter to the doctor about this is what we're seeing at camp, to try to help her be able to take that information back to the healthcare professionals that might be able to help. So, and that kind of goes into who we are as an organization. I'm an occupational therapist by profession, and we have PTs, OTs, speech language pathologists, teachers, and college students that are all trained in healthcare and education fields of study. So we're able to provide that higher level service to the individuals that come and participate with us.
Yeah, and it's probably hard to overstate the impact you had for that mom once she was able to kind of let go and trust, and what it did for her, and then also what it does for the child. I had a podcast guest once. She happened to be an adult with spina bifida, and she wheelchair user, and she talked about working at a summer camp and working with a daughter, a girl, and a mom, where the mom kind of did everything for the girl, even though she had abilities to do stuff on her own. And she talked about how when we finally got mom out of the picture, the girl kind of blossomed because she was able to do stuff. So one topic I want to transition to you and have both of you comment on is your experience personally and observing this concept of like setting the bar for kids. You've got that helicopter parent, whether you're raising a special special needs kid or not, who's kind of like doesn't want them to fall and is always there and is there every second. Then you've got that other parent that's like kind of throw them in the deep end, let them figure it out. And then you layer on top of that the idea that your kid faces all these extra challenges, whether they're in a wheelchair, whether they have a trach, whether they have seizures, all these other things. And you're like, how do you know how to set the bar and set expectations for kids so that they can grow as much as possible and not put artificial limits on them? Casey, what was that like for you? You mentioned kind of a rare genetic condition, medical involvement. How did you find the right balance to know not to put limits, but let him flourish?
Ooh, it's an evolution for sure. Because the natural tendency, even for me, is to be a helicopter parent, where it's like, oh, but I think over time, as you settle into your diagnosis, as you find your people, it does help. And again, I can't stress enough, when you can find organizations, whether it's an Empower Me Center or your church or whatever your safe space is, it's been really good for us because it's giving me a place to let Hudson start to spread his wings. He's building these relationships. He's away from home throughout the day. I'm talking to other parents. And so it's almost like I'm helping him find his independence, but in a little bit safer space, which I feel like is preparing him for the future. And I also feel like I have to remind myself of this too. Hudson is so capable. And so even though I, as a mom, at times want to hover, he doesn't need me to. Like, our kids are amazing and they're capable of so many things. And so I think finding an organization like Empower Me or others like that across the country, where your kids can kind of learn to be away from home, be away from the caregiver, and the caregiver can learn to give up some of the control is probably very helpful.
And as an OT by background, Michelle, I remember when I worked at a center where my daughter got therapy, the OTs would talk about, observing the parents who, anytime their kid struggled, would kind of swoop in and like save the day, versus the ones who tried as hard as they could to sit on their hands and let them learn through the stretch that is a challenge. How have you seen that play out with your families, and how do you guys play a role in helping set expectations or not put limits on kids?
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned exactly the right thing, sitting on your hands. That's what I am telling when we do our staff training. I'm like, you have to let them try it first, because a lot of times they never get that opportunity to see what can they actually do. And then the therapy part comes in of being like, if they can't do it, then why can't they do it? And so that's where we put on our detectives hats and figure out, is it muscle? Is it vision? Is it perception? What is it that is actually causing that child to not be able to do whatever task is in front of of them. And then how can we help them, whether it's through different techniques or even just adaptive equipment? We provide all of those things for them to be as independent and as successful as they can. And that's kind of my job as an OT, but that's what we look at. And that's how our premise is as an organization as well. We want each individual to be as independent as possible with all the different gross motor and fine motor and arts and crafts and all the activities that they may do when they're participating with us. And, I had one parent come in and she was like, she was tying his shoe for him. I'm like, he can do that. And she looked at me and she was like, no, he can't. I was like, show her. And he sat down and he did it. And she was like, how did he learn that? I was like, we taught him this week how to do that. So he now knows how to do that. So just little things like that. We talk about just not everybody's able to do everything. Everybody's brain and everybody's body works differently. And that's how we describe what a disability is. And everybody's uniquely made. And however, everyone also has a special gift. And one of our young ladies, Gabrielle, she is like a quadriplegic, but she's totally intact cognitively. And she is super bright, super smart. And she once said, I'll never be able to do what they are able to do. And I was like, Gabrielle's like, we're all given different gifts. And she looked at me and she's like, what's my gift? And I was like, your gift is your voice. You can speak, where we have a lot of our individuals who are nonverbal. You are being that voice for them. You are speaking for them. So she loves to go on speaking engagements with us. She would probably love a spot on your show.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, she and her mom would totally love that. And they'd be amazing. She's a beautiful soul. And she's been with me for 27 of my 28 years. And she'll have a full-time job with us with our education program, educating second graders about different types of disabilities so that different people can be more accepting of any individual that may be a little different.
I love that. And I love this tying the shoe story. You've probably so many that would be hard to think one, but can you think of another story or even your own experience, Casey, where the kid kind of blew you away in terms of what everybody thought they were capable of, under 5 years old, and here they are and they're 10 or 15 and they're doing things that a lot of people probably, if they would admit it, one time thought were impossible for them.
I mean, I'll share two stories that instantly come to mind with Hudson. He is such a light, and the kid is not shy. I mean, you give him any platform to be the center of attention, and he is all over it. But what's really amazing about him, which I know you'll appreciate, Michelle, with your therapy training, is he had really, really struggles with his fine motor skills. Well, fast forward, he's 15 years old, and he plays in the school marching band for high school. I mean, he's a drummer and a really good one. Great rhythm. He can't read music, but he remembers every single thing he's ever heard. So he plays by ear. And I just go back to those moments that were so hard when he was little and just even behaviorally. And then to think about him fast forward where he can sit through an entire band concert, follow all the instructions, pick up his instrument, play the song. I mean, it's mind blowing. And, sometimes too, I think as parents, I know I've been guilty of this in the past where I'm like, oh, Hudson, don't do that. Or maybe you shouldn't do that. And probably one of my favorite stories is we do a fundraiser every year called Wyatt's Walk and Run. And it's really fun. It benefits, Empower Me Center. There's an amazing family who puts it on. And we were packing up to all go home. And all of a sudden we hear the national anthem and we look over and Hudson has the microphone and is singing the national anthem. And so everybody kind of stops packing up their stuff and we're all like, I guess I should put my hand over my heart. And so now they invite him every year and he sings the national anthem at the start of this walk. So, and this was a kid who it took him a long time to put his sentences together, to, speak words. And so I just go back to, if given the chance to shine, and if we push them a little bit, these kids are phenomenal. They just, to Michelle's point, they all have their unique gifts and we just need to give them a chance to show them, and the world is more accepting than it used to be. It's
back in the day when he was at the height of some of those struggles, if somebody said, well, he'll probably sing the national anthem one day, it'll probably be in a high school marching band, you would have been like, okay, I'm trying to think that's possible, but I'm not sure I would believe it.
No, and the amount of hope, I always tell families this, because if someone would have told me that in those days that were so difficult, and I could have had that hope in the future that was going to be possible, that would have done wonders just for my spirit. So it's like, I'm always telling younger families, it's so hard during the days, but don't lose hope. Our kids are so capable, and there are so many wonderful organizations and therapists and people out there that do want to help them. So
Well,
there's hope.
and
There's definitely hope.
you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the girl and she said, "Well, what's my ability?" It's like we tend to be, even the word disability, with maybe that's the name of this podcast, seeing ability. The idea is it's so deficit focused. So it's like what you can't
Mhm.
do instead of thinking about all the gifts you do bring. And
Mhm.
yes, you have challenges and there's things that you struggle with or have a hard time doing, but there's so much you can do. And it sounds like
Right.
that's a great part of your organization is helping kids bring out what's possible for them and helping parents learn early on, just like you wouldn't for any kid. Don't set limits on what's possible for them.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Love it.
When we talked before we got on and started recording, you guys said a big passion for each of you personally and for your organization is kind of bridging that gap between like the typically abled population out there and folks who have differences and kind of doing a lot of awareness building, even among kids on probably parent adults too, on how to interact with somebody who shows up differently in the world. Talk to us about that passion and some of the things you guys do in that realm, and maybe advice you'd give for parents who are struggling with, like, taking their kid out in the world and the way the world reacts.
Yeah. Well, we have one of our programs is it's a part of our education program called Ryan's Recess. And so Ryan was with us our very first few years of our organization back in 1999. And he got bullied really badly when he was in second grade. And so we got together with his mom and we came up with a program called Ryan's Recess. And that program will be unveiled once we build our new facilities. It's actually going to be um, a field trip for second graders to actually come out to our new facilities and learn about all different types of disabilities. And so the curriculum is basically showing second graders how to invite individuals to participate with them, maybe on the playground or in the classroom setting or out in the community. How to include them, like how do you interact with individuals with different types of disabilities, and then what the impact of that is going to be. So it's invite, include, impact, and we basically introduce hidden disabilities, physical disabilities, and developmental disabilities. And we'll do all kinds of little games. We'll have wheelchair races. We're going to put somebody with blindfolds on and pretend like they're blind, and they're going to have to take a little spoon with an egg on it down a relay race and back. And so just trying to get them a little bit in the shoes of someone with maybe different types of disabilities so they can better understand. And this is an open area for them to ask questions as well. And so we piloted it. It was amazing. This second grade classroom that we piloted with, when those kids got to fifth grade, those teachers reached out to me and they said, this is the best group of non-bullying of our individuals with disabilities that they had ever seen.
Wow.
And so we were like, check, that's what we want to do. So we're really looking forward to implementing this program once we get into our new facilities that we're building.
What a wonderful idea. And you kind of hear that and you think, gosh, imagine what a world we would have if every second grader went through that curriculum.
Yes, that's our goal. Let's do this. Let's do this.
I love it. Okay, we're going to talk about some of those goals, but first we're going to take a quick break. When you have a kid who is different, all your ducks need to be in a row, especially your money. Cam Howell with Primerica knows the joys and challenges as he and his wife raise their medically fragile son, Brooks. Cam brings over 14 years of experience to help his clients be protected, have a plan for the future, reduce debt, and connect to resources. Get your financial house in order so that you can enjoy every moment with your child. Reach out today at 502-803-5075. And now back to the show. You talked earlier about your program with Ryan's Recess and the field trip and a new facility. So again, for folks that are not as familiar with the Empower Me Center as a nonprofit, tell us kind of the outline of your major programming first, and then a little bit about where you're headed and sort of that gap between like that vision of the future and today.
Yeah. So our program is basically our dream. The DREAM represent the 5 different programs that we offer. So the D is the day camps. It's not just the summer camp, but it's all these other year-round events that we offer. The R is our recreation league. So we have a basketball league, we have a soccer and flag football league. Once we build our facilities, it'll be basketball, baseball, soccer, flag football, field hockey, volleyball, and bocce. So basically, I have to do it in order. If I don't do it in order, I'll miss one. But basically, it's every 6 weeks, the families can sign up for a different sport and participate in them. And so we have different divisions with different competitive levels within that. But that's kind of what we've found works best. The E is the education program, and it's twofold. It includes Ryan's Recess, but it's also a way to bring in funding for our programs. So we want to be known as the place to come to for medical and educational conferences around the greater Nashville area. So, a lot of times for CEUs, you're spending $400 a day. So we're going to host those there and bring in, it'll be a great revenue source for us. And then the A is our adult program, and they're called the Daydreamers. They're in 2 different groups. We have a travel team and a home team. And so the travel team is out and about in the community. So today they went and toured the Hermitage, which is a very historical place here in the greater Nashville area. And then I think they went to Whataburger to eat lunch. So plug there. They love Chick-fil-A too, so I can't leave them out. They're huge supporters of ours as well. But they are out and about. They go to parks. They've gone down and watched the Preds practice. They've just do all kinds of fun things out and about in the community. And then the home team stays put. They maybe are comprised of individuals who maybe don't like to be out in big crowds or who don't transition very well, but they still want to be with their friends. And so that program is for anybody 18 and older that we offer. And they have dances. They have movie nights. They do all kinds of fun, more adult type activities like that. And then the M is multi-living. And so we plan to have some type of housing on our property. We have 5 acres kind of designated for that space once our other facilities are built. But we also want to be known as the place to come to just learn about other resources in the area for housing, because that's obviously a huge need for the special needs communities. So, but we're building, we have 25 acres of land. We are about to pour concrete on our very first building. It'll be a 10,000 square foot building in our phase 1, which also includes a soccer field, bocce courts, and a driving range and putting area. And then we're coming back and doing a 37,000 square foot building, and we've got an outdoor sports court, a Garden of Dreams area, where the Miracle League of Lebanon baseball field, adaptive playground, and a splash pad. So it's just going to be this huge, amazing recreational complex, all set up to accommodate any type of disability. Whether you're blind or deaf or any type of disability, so that everybody just feels very comfortable and accepted and participating in all the different activities that we have to offer. And then we want to build this one, and then we want to take it on the road, Jim. So we're coming up your way to Kentucky.
Yeah, you did such a good job laying it out. But if folks want to read more, let's give us your website. Where do they go to learn more about you?
Yes, our website is empowermecenter.com. So just EMPOWERME and then center, CENTER.com.
How do you guys involve volunteers? If folks that are near you in that area want to get involved, what are the different ways you utilize volunteers?
So volunteers can help either as a direct interaction with our participants or in indirect ways, like helping out at our various fundraisers, stuffing envelopes, helping with some of those other clerical areas. But we always like buddies for our sports programs. We also have different groups come out to our summer camp and volunteer there as well. So there's been several businesses around the area that have come and done business days or work days and have come to help volunteer. And so we are always looking for them. We had over $100,000 value last year of just volunteers participating with us. So way into the hundreds of people that came out. So we couldn't do it without them for sure. And not to mention our board being volunteer, obviously. So
yeah, I was just going to ask you, Casey, tell us a little bit about the makeup of the board and what do you love about being part of that group?
Yeah, well, it's nice because we leverage, and Michelle can probably tell you the numbers better, but we have how many parents? Do you know off the top of your head?
6.
6 of our board members are actually parents. So that part is really, really nice because, you're looking at just almost half of the board. So it's nice because you're getting that perspective of, how do we serve our community? How do we make this organization something that lasts way beyond all of us? But we also have that parent perspective. It's also made up of community leaders. We're really, really fortunate in our little town of Lebanon, right outside of Nashville. We have a tremendous amount of support. And I think because Empower Me's been in the community for so long, the board members have been in the community for so long, we have the support not just of just your average community member, but fire and police and politicians. And so it's pretty neat the way it's wrapped around us. And we've found too, just even with our board members, just people that are, I think, really willing to say, like, how do I roll up my sleeves and lean in and help? And again, we all want this to be an organization that's here long after we're gone. And so I think we all have a commitment to seeing that through. The need is tremendous. I mean, our summer day camp fills up in one day. Like it's like competitive. There's like actually strategy to getting your packet in on time. Families are so desperate for the work that the organization is doing. I think we all just feel like a tremendous sense of responsibility to ensure that we can serve as many families as possible and do it for a really long time. So there's a lot of passion from our board. And again, because some of our kids participate, we're even more passionate. Probably drive Michelle crazy because we're so passionate,
And I love the big dreams, the big vision, and then the idea that maybe there's other communities that can learn from what you're doing, and the idea of taking it on the road, which is really, really a gift. I feel like we could go on forever, but my audience has limited time. So So I'm going to ask you guys a way oversimplified end cap question, which is, let's say a local children's hospital brought you in as a speaker. It's a group of parents who have kids under 5. They have a variety of disabilities, and you get to stand at the podium and give them your 3 keys to success. Casey, what would those be?
Find your village. Once you've found them, ask them for help and just have faith.
I love it. Michelle?
Ditto. I mean, she could not. I could not say it any better. I mean, yeah, we are a community, and we are a community of faith as well. So I love that. We are there for them. Just come see us. Come let us help.
Like I said, I spent a lot of time in the nonprofit sector, and I think you two might be able to moonlight giving classes on executive director, board chair, compatibility, and spokespersonship. You guys are on the same page, which is lovely to see. And it really helps an organization be aligned and move forward. Guys, you give us one more time your website, because everybody listening is going to want to learn more about you guys.
Yes. So go to empowermecenter.com. We would love for you to check us out. And there's all of our contact information is in there as well. So feel free to reach out to me. I would love to meet anyone, any new families, or even just to be able to share any information that you may need. So.
Well, again, the purpose of this podcast is manyfold. Number one, it's hopefully I know you got some education out of listening today. We all need that little burst of enthusiasm and motivation. So I know you got that. And then we really want this podcast to become one layer of your village. We want families to feel connected, feel less alone, feel empowered on wherever they are in their journey. So help us by rating and reviewing the podcast. Go to our podcast Facebook page, follow and like it, and share this episode with anybody that you think could benefit. And then we mentioned one of your participants that might be a good guest. I'm always looking for future guests, other nonprofits, other individuals, especially adults who are in their 20s to 50s who traveled this path, and they can look back and say, what did my family do that really helped me? And maybe what should they have not done? That didn't, we hear both. It's kind of a fun conversation. I would love ideas from our listeners for future guests. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Ladies, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jim.
And everybody else, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.